It's Big Game James McCarty and Jace Denman here for signing day with MSUM football. Head coach Steve Laqua and associate head coach and recruiting director Chris Needham as well. And gentlemen, 31 young men, if I remember correctly, that have signed today. Coach, when you see that number, what kind of joy does it bring to you knowing that this program's in such good hands and you have such a great recruiting class coming in?
Well, it was good. Number-wise, it's about where we wanted to land, between 30 and 35. We had a really big senior class of 18. Another one graduated early, taking a job that we just found out here a couple weeks ago. And so a lot of guys to replace. I think this is a really deep class with depth in a lot of different positions. And so I think really excited about kind of their new chapter starting, their new journey starting with Dragon football. And, their values and everything matches up. And now it's like, let's set sail together and let's see what happens.
Chris, obviously director of scouting for the Dragons. What does this class mean to you, and actually getting it across the finish line here now that it's signing day?
For sure, it's really a lot of hard work over the course of a year or more. So honestly, we see a lot of these kids starting in the spring, getting them to junior day visits. We really get to know them more at camps in the summer. We go to a lot of camps throughout the summer. We see these kids really for the first time live, like in person. And then really they come to our games in the fall where we get to see them kind of one more time before the signing day. So it's a culmination of a lot of hard work from our staff, from Coach Laqua to all of our work study students that are involved with it too. So it's pretty special for it all to come together like this and celebrate Dragon football today.
When you look at a handful of the local young men that come in, Coach, a couple from Moorhead, one from Glendon, you get one from Barnesville. We talk about it pretty regularly, but where's the importance of trying to make sure that you retain some of that local talent, especially in a recruiting class at the Division II ranks when you're trying to build up a competitive team in the NSIC?
Well, it's definitely important to win at home, right? To win locally. You have your most success with your guys that are closest to your campus as far as retention. I think there's a level of pride that they're playing for a place that's important to them, that they've grown up, they've known about it. There's people in the community that can watch them, that remember them from high school. And so I think being able to be successful recruiting in the local area is huge. And we're fortunate. We're in a local area that has tremendous football. You talk about the programs in Barnesville and DGF, like phenomenal. And then you've got Moorhead playing great football in West Fargo, Cheyenne, like all continually competitive programs. And think, we've got great football in high school in this area. We've got great college football in this area at all three levels. And so that's exciting to be able to have that, continue that on. Like my encouragement is for all those guys that are playing football right now in those high schools, just keep playing, like make your team better. But all those that are playing FM athletics, hey, just keep going out. The next year, just go out again. Just keep going out. Football is a game that you might not see the rewards early, but by the end, you're going to be able to reap those rewards. And who knows, you might be a guy that's going to be up here and getting talked about and being part of Dragon football. And maybe you didn't see that as a seventh grader that hadn't quite grown up, but just stay with the program. And those coaches, I think, in our local area that build the FM athletics, that program up, build those kids up, hey, we're all benefiting from it today. And you look at it, and there's a lot of these guys that have been through that.
Coach, I noticed on the list of players that have signed today, you do have a couple from Wisconsin. I think there's a Nebraska and Illinois. Can you talk to us a little bit about kind of the recruiting process when it comes to those out-of-state ones? Obviously, Coach talked about the local Metro kids, but obviously recruiting for a Division II football program, you've got to expand it out farther than just the Metro.
For sure. I think a big thing for us is seeing kids at camp. We recruit the upper Midwest, so the Dakotas, of course, but then we go down to Nebraska, Wisconsin, Chicago, Iowa as well. So really we need to see those kids at camp. We see the film. We need to get them to camp, whether it's our camp or some of the camps around the region. And then it's also introducing those kids to not only like our program, but to our city of Fargo-Moorhead. A lot of these kids have never been to Fargo before. They're new to the area. They don't know what the city looks like. They don't know how many people are here. So really getting them a feel for not only who we are, but here's like what the area would look like when you live here. Here's what the metro area looks like, the companies that are here, the businesses, all the high schools. Like it's a growing population. There's a lot of things to sell from our metro area in the city here. So it's cool to get them here, to get them a feel for the area too.
How big of a selling point is that, Coach? The FM area. I mean, I know that James and I have talked about it a little bit on Primetime Sports, etc. But I think that's a really kind of underrated selling point of this program is the fact you get to be a part of the FM area where there's so many things to do, but yet at the same time, Moorhead is kind of this tucked away little gym that makes you feel like it's a small town.
Absolutely. It's a great place. I've been here basically since fall of '97 when I got dropped off by my parents to go to school, and the community has been good to me. I've loved seeing it to grow in it, see the community grow itself. You get an opportunity to be part of something special where sports, athletics, football is really important to this community, and so helping guys be able to see that, give them a vision of how it can play out, I think is super exciting. It's a little bit, or you got to overcome distance when you're doing that in recruiting, but we've got a place to sell. And you guys have been around. You've called games on the football field, the basketball court, a lot of different conference venues, a lot of different areas. Our community, I think, I feel like is second to none. And so definitely a selling point for us because we talk a lot about you're not just making a decision based on football. The majority of your time here, you don't have your helmet on. So what's your life look like on campus? What's it look like in your social life? What are your entertainment options? Are there other college students that are around? Is there going to be something for you to do? And I think this community provides so many of those opportunities. And then we get the lucky opportunity that when they're done, a lot of them stay in this community and make this community even better. And I think as you've been in it a long time, that becomes a rewarding part. You're seeing some of these graduates out in the community and they're doing great things. And these guys, we're talking about the football that they're going to play over the next 4 to 5 years. But, hopefully the next 10 to 15 years, they're making an impact on the place that you and I are living right now.
Coach, when you go through a recruiting, just an entire cycle of it, it takes more than just you two that are here with us. You have all the assistants, you have all the graduates and the players that also help buy in. What is that day-to-day like? Are you assigning your special teams coaches to special teams kids to recruit? Are you doing specific position groupings? How does all that work? And trying to find some of those diamonds in the rough as well, whether it's social media, whether it's at live camps, whether it's just getting them on campus and everything that goes into that 12, maybe even 18-month process.
Yeah, it's a good solid 13-month process. And, there's a lot of people that are involved. It's a team effort. It's a little bit by area is kind of the basis of where we start out. Each of our different coaches has an area that they kind of look after, they keep track of. They bring names kind of up from there. And then it kind of graduates into this, positional type thing. If you're a lineman, hey, you just kind of generically a lineman, O-line, D-line. We're trying to look at you through those guys on our staff are looking there. And same thing, skill players, wideouts, DBs. They're looking at they're getting attention from our wide receiver coach or DB coaches, those things. And so that becomes a group. And as it gets further and further into the process of, hey, let's make a decision, let's offer this player, then it becomes more involvement from Coach Needham, from myself, then from the recruiting area coach, the position coach is going to coach them. And so everybody's got a hand in this process. Many hands make light work. But that's kind of the whole thing that we go through. And it takes quite a while. It's important. You look at Coach Needham does a phenomenal job. You're talking about diamonds in the rough. Well, he's got the state of North Dakota, and I think he's probably got a pretty good beat on freshmen and sophomores that are up and coming. And that's just the way it works. And you try and make sure that you leave all stones that you get turned over. And I think he does a great job with that. And that's why I think you found a lot of our local rural players have turned into good players because he's found them. We've had our eye on him. You look at a guy like Callan Lucas this year. He was a guy that we're watching in our camp going into his junior year before he even got on the field. He's a guy that fits exactly, and the process starts. And if it weren't for Coach Needham and that, we're probably late into the game on that recruiting piece. And so everybody's doing a great job. We just got to continue to keep doing it because recruiting is the lifeblood of a program.
It's kind of interesting you point out kind of the position coaches kind of have a say in looking at different players because I know that just from calling games with James, he's a former O-lineman, so he's looking more in the trenches. I've always liked the specialty players on the outside, the running backs, etc. So it's similar to us when we call games because of that different viewpoint. Coach Needham, I'm a little bit concerned though. I saw the wide receiver recruits, and I don't think they're matching what Coach Laqua wants. A couple guys over 6 foot, so I don't know if that's going to work out very well.
No, it's we definitely wanted to find the right fit first with the wideouts. We throw the ball a lot, obviously, in our offense. We get it to a number of different guys. I think when you watch our team, it's not just we're not just focusing on one guy or two guys. There's a lot of guys that are playing at one time that are rotating in. So we did a great job in this class of finding the right guys for our style of offense. So we're excited about that.
Coach, when you guys, or for either one of you, we've got the list in front of us, but if there are some headliners to this draft class, is there any players you would like to kind of highlight a little bit? I mean, everybody deserves some shine, but I mean, obviously, sometimes you look at the grade on the draft class. So are there some players that really stand out to you?
Well, I think if you look at it, quarterback was a key position, right? Within our offense, we got 3 quarterbacks on the roster last year. Tommy graduates. Jack's coming into his senior year. Like, we need to add guys in the mix. I thought we added 3 really good quarterbacks. You look at Cooper Bryan, who we mentioned before, but pass-catching tight end, that's super important within our offense. I think we've been able to recruit kind of the traditional tight end. He's a little bit different, so that's an intriguing piece. A lot of defensive linemen graduated a big senior class of really talented guys, and so I think that group is really does a lot of things. There's a lot of guys that maybe fit specialty areas. You look at like Tyrese and Benny Kay, Dylan Hunt, kind of edge rushers that you feel like, hey, got a really good feel for that. And then you've got some guys that you feel like, okay, hey, they can get inside, maybe be more stout. You look at the physicality Dean Lemke brings out of Alexandria, like that's an exciting player. You remember that name, but it's also important that, again, I think it's the 3rd straight year somebody out of Alexandria. Really good football program. And we feel it every time the Spuds and the Cardinals are playing. There's that rivalry going on with our own team. They're watching the game in the hotel before the game. They're watching playoff games and things going on. And so, those things are important to get those players from this area. And I think those are the names that they really pop up. I thought our DB class was phenomenal as well, too.
Last thing I have for you, Coach, I'm kind of curious with this. In today's day and age, trying to get guys on campus, but of course you run into a lot of recruits at camps and whatnot. What is that fun kind of jarring at each other rivalry like when you're trying to recruit against other schools within this conference? Because this is top of the line for Division II, the NSIC, and whether you're talking about the Bemidji States, the Mankato's, Augustanas, and everybody else in between, it's got to be a dogfight for some of those recruits.
It is. I think through the process, especially early, right, as you go through, like everybody's making a lot of comparisons with a lot of different schools. I do think we're very, very different than a lot of programs. And so if you're in tune to who we are and what we're about, and that matches with what you are, it sounds bad, but it seems like there's not a ton of competition to do those things. And so now if you're gonna make things that are important that maybe aren't the most important things to us, if it's going to become all about facilities or all about budgets and dollars and those things, well, yeah, you know what, then, hey, maybe it becomes competitive, but not for the right reasons. I think if it becomes competitive about the things that are at our core, hey, we're second to none in the honestly, I don't want to sound bad, but I think the process becomes easy for us, but easy for them to make the decision. And so are there battles? Yeah, there's some battles back and forth, but I think when you can get to the core of what we really stand for, and they can get to the core of who they are, and not necessarily what they want, but what they need to be successful, it kind of becomes a no-brainer of where they're going to meet their potential. And so I think that's been really good for us. We talk a little bit about the high school rivalries back and forth. We've had to overcome some of that. I know at camp, Rufus was at camp this summer, and he was making fun of Kelly, who's from another wide receiver from Alexandria, about how his senior year went, and Kelly was going back and forth with Rufus. We're like, oh, geez. Like I said, let's wait until we all get on the same team before we start doing that. But it worked out, and so we're excited moving forward with those guys.
Coach, when I look at the list and we see what these players are being recruited as, a good example, a player that we had for a couple years, Finn Ridgway, came in as a quarterback, ended up playing running back for us. When you look at the list and the players that have been recruited, how often do they change positions from where you guys have recruited them at?
Yeah, I think it's fairly common. There's a number of kids that come here, and oftentimes in North Dakota or rural Minnesota, they play quarterback, and it's on their team, they need the ball in their hands, and they make a lot of plays, and it's often those guys when they come here. Sure, we might look at them at quarterback, but you know what? They're a really good athlete. Where can they fit in at wideout or defensive back? So we look at those guys at a few different positions. So yeah, we're excited about that. I know one name, Talon Thorson, who's Madden Thorson's brother. So a similar situation where he was playing quarterback in high school, and now he's going to be a wideout here. So yeah, we're excited about those kids because they're they're great athletes.
Yeah, and it's also cool to see Madden's younger brother committing to the Dragons as well. So it's we're getting excited for football season already. I know James was giddy this morning when all the names started rolling through and getting ready to look forward to the next season.
Definitely, yeah. So both Coach Bergstrasser and Coach Nelson, I'm not looking past basketball. I'm just a little bit giddy. The countdown starts the day basketball ends, and not that I'm counting down, but Northern Michigan on August 28th. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, what just happened there, huh?
Yeah, well.
Do you have anything else?
No, that's good.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thanks for coming at your time. We always appreciate it, and it's a whole lot of fun to be able to do these and to get a feel for these different classes, and we're looking forward to seeing what they're going to do on the field here in the next couple of months.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Big Game James McCarty with Jace Denman and the coaching staff of the Dragons, Coach Laqua and Needham. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.